Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with the protagonist Edward Jen being taken at gunpoint by some gunman somewhere. However, Ed gets the upper hand and kills all the goons with a gun. But being outnumbered, he is forced to surrender. Shifting to 5 days earlier, Ed is in a hotel room with his lover. Shortly thereafter, he receives a phone call from his ex-wife, with whom he has long severed relations. However, he chooses to stay in touch with her, because they have a daughter together. She reminds him that his daughter will be attending a theater tomorrow, so his presence would be welcome. Shifting to Hong Kong, Ed gets off a train, and heads for the exit. He then goes to a nightclub, where he has a couple of drinks, while waiting to meet someone. He notices some Asian men heading to a place, and starts following them, and puts on his gloves, and picks up his weapon. He manages to enter the elevator without being seen, and kills a security guard. Then, he continues walking down the hallway, where he starts a shootout with another guard. In the process, the Asians begin torturing a man with tattoos, and ask him who he works for. Suddenly, the door opens, and Ed starts killing all the henchmen, after which he frees the man. Finally he leaves, telling the man that today is his lucky day. The scene shifts to Vancouver. Ed leaves the airport, and waiting for him is his lover. Ed goes to a bar to look for a man named Serge, with whom he has worked in the past. The bartender tells him she has no idea where Serge is, and Ed leaves. Many years ago, Ed was a KGB assassin, until the disintegration of the Soviet Empire. However, he leads a quiet lifestyle as an entrepreneur in real estate. One day, like any other, he goes to the office, and his secretary tells him that Mr. Graham is waiting in the office. After a chat, it turns out that the two knew each other from a conference a year ago. Now Mr. Graham is looking for properties to buy in Hong Kong, but Ed says he currently has none. Meanwhile, he receives a message from the bartender, cash 1 hour. Before he leaves, Mr. Graham leaves his business card, as the protagonist looks at him suspiciously. Later, Ed returns to the bar to take payment for the mission performed in Hong Kong. However, before he can leave, Serge's man tells him he has another job for him. This time in Miami, a seemingly easy mission. Ed is now tired of it, but he knows that if he refuses, things will get ugly. The next day, Ed goes to a construction site, where he meets a lady named Kerr, who works in real estate like him. However, she too has a somewhat dark past. Ed tells her he is looking for a certain character in Miami, and needs a suitable weapon. Kerr gives him the number of a certain Constantine who will help him. In addition, Ed asks her to research the suspicious Mr. Graham. Kerr promises to help him, and tells him maybe it would be better if he went back to the life he used to live for good, instead of fooling himself with his new life as an entrepreneur. Later, after his daily workout, he is visited by his ex-wife and daughter. Every weekend, the little girl stays with him, but sometimes he forgets about it. Ed has to go to Miami today for the mission, so he takes the daughter to his lover's house. He puts the little girl to bed, and apologizes to her that he did not show up at her show. The little girl says he works too much, and wishes he would live with her and her mother again. Unfortunately, he says this is his job, but there is little he can do. Finally, he promises his mistress he will pay her, and leaves for Miami. On the way, he receives a call from his ex-wife, to whom he lies that he is going grocery shopping, while his daughter is left with her lover. Suddenly, what appear to be ordinary workers on the road, start shooting at him. He easily kills them, and then immediately calls his lover to tell her to run away with his daughter. However, the call is interrupted by a sudden explosion. In tears, he looks at his daughter's drawing, and finds a message written by the lover, saying, his daughter has been taken to his house by the nanny. Ed immediately returns home, where he finds the nanny and daughter sleeping. Meanwhile, other goons surround his house, and sneak inside. Ed kills some of them, takes the daughter with the nanny, and heads for the exit. In the process, he continues to fight with the henchmen, and finds an old car. He manages to start it, and they drive away. He arrives at a restaurant, where he meets Kerr, and tells her that someone is trying to kill him. Ed asks for her help, and she says she can take the little girl to a safe place, while he works things out. Ed goes to Serge's bar, and asks his assistant the name of the man who is trying to kill him. Initially, Serge's man hesitates to talk, but after Ed shoots him, he gives him a name. Soon after, a group of henchmen start shooting cruelly at the bar, killing Serge's man and the bartender. Ed then goes to the hotel where his ex-wife resides with her new boyfriend. He tells her they must run away, because they are in danger. Shortly, as they were walking to the exit, 2 policemen walked in. Ed's wife runs toward them for help. Soon, her boyfriend also joins her. The policemen persistently ask where Ed is, and then suddenly kill the boyfriend. Ed then kills one policeman with a gun, and starts fighting with the other hand to hand. At the critical moment, as the henchman is about to kill Ed with a knife, his wife shoots the henchman, killing him. The two get into a car, and drive away. Ed wakes up in a hotel, as his wife looks frightened through the window. She asks him worriedly where their daughter is, and Ed says she is safe. He then tries to calm her down, and the two make love. The next morning, he reveals to his ex-wife that his name is actually Evgeny, and he changed his name many years ago to hide the past. In addition, he explains that he had to move away from the family to keep them safe. He then calls Kerr to assure his wife that their daughter is safe. Next, he goes to Serge's mansion, thinking he will find some information from him. However, when he arrives there, he realizes all the guards, Serge included, have been brutally killed. He goes to Kerr, where he is greeted by his little daughter. He tells Kerr that Serge has been killed. When he asks Kerr if she has found out any information about Mr. Graham, she says she has not been able to find anything. Ed realizes Kerr is acting strangely, and then, when she gets a phone call, she walks away. Ed feels the tension rise, and as he turns with his back to Kerr's henchmen, he notices one of them is about to grab his weapon. A shootout ensues, and he kills the two henchmen inside the house. He then runs to his wife and daughter, to get them to safety. Meanwhile, Kerr and his men follow them. At one point, Ed's daughter falls from the barn they entered, and is caught by a henchman. Being in the trap, Ed surrenders and throws away his weapon. Kerr tells him someone more powerful than the two of them ordered her to capture him, so she had no choice. Ed promises to do what he will be asked to if they let his daughter go, and Kerr agrees. However, just then, a special forces group catches them off guard. Ed grabs a fork and immediately kills Kerr for betraying him. He and the others are captured. The protagonist wakes up in an empty room, surrounded by security guards. Soon, the mysterious Mr. Graham, whose identity Ed wanted to find out, arrives. Ed immediately asks where his daughter and wife are, to which Graham replies they are safe. It soon turns out that Graham works for the CIA, and their main target is not Ed, but an old friend of his named Vadim. The latter helped Ed get into the world of the Russian mafia in the United States. Now the CIA needs Ed's help to find out where Vadim is, and neutralize him. Ed refuses to do the dirty work for them, but Graham responds by saying they can kill him and his family, and no one will ever find out. Ed says one last goodbye to his wife and daughter, and tells them that he has one last mission to finish it all. He is taken to Los Angeles, where he gets a car and gets to work, finding Vadim's home, and installing electrodes. Then, one evening, he stops in front of Vadim's mansion, and rings the bell, introducing himself by an old name. Vadim greets him warmly, and makes him feel welcome inside the house. He then pours him some good champagne, and asks the usual questions, since they have not seen each other for so long. While Ed is surrounded by security guards, Vadim starts asking more personal questions about Ed's family. Suddenly, a guard hits him in the head, knocking him out. He soon realizes that Vadim already knew he was coming. Infuriated, Vadim tells him that he should not have walked away from him when they came to the States together, and orders his guards to kill him. Ed is taken outside to be neutralized, but he soon gains the upper hand, and kills the three guards. Another henchman hears the shots over the radio, and informs Vadim. Ed returns to the house, and begins killing the henchmen one by one. Then he descends into the basement, and Vadim and the henchmen begin to follow him. Soon, Ed arrives at a dead-end spa area, and finds himself surrounded. At this point, he puts his weapon on the ground, and asks Vadim to smoke one last cigar before he dies. However, this is a trap, and thanks to the lighter, Ed sets off the explosives. He kills the security guards in moments, and chases Vadim, who has escaped back into the house. After a few minutes looking for him, Vadim surprises him from behind, but Ed manages to shoot her in the leg first. Then Ed slowly raised his gun and shoots him in the head. Soon, the man Ed saved at the beginning appears, and asks if Vadim is dead. Ed nods, and the man tells him today is his lucky day. Finally, he tells him that Mr. Graham says goodbye, which means the mission is over. Shifting to Ed living with his family again, his wife notices a black car outside the window. Ed tells her to get things ready, which means his adventures have not ended. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.